Hey, how's it going? So when you ask coaches like how do you increase your velocity, 90% of the time you're gonna get one of two answers. The first one is long toss, and number two, they're just gonna say get bigger, or like mass equals gas, or eat another peanut butter sandwich, or like a protein shake. Those are some of the short answers, but how can you fix and tweak your mechanics to gain velocity? A lot of players have untapped potential and untapped velocity that they can't reach because of their flawed mechanics. I call it like max velocity, and that's like the max velocity you can get to with your current strength and size. And a lot of players can't get to that because of flaws in their mechanics. Like, you can improve your max velo by getting in the weight room, getting stronger, more flexible, stuff like that. But that's not what we're talking about in this video. In this video, I'm gonna teach you how to get to your max velocity with your current size and strength. And also, this doesn't just apply to pitchers, this is also fielders. It can improve your velocity in the infield, outfield, anywhere. So let's just do this. Hope you guys enjoy. Welcome to Upswing Baseball, where we give you tips and drills to improve your baseball skills. So subscribe and hit the bell if you want to take your baseball skills to the next level. And let's just do this. So I'm just gonna go right in through the pitching motion, and the first thing we're gonna talk about is fixing your leg kick, which is your load in the pitching motion. Your leg kick is how you load up everything. Coil up, get up to here. You should be fully loaded, everything's locked and ready to explode. You should be ready to go at max knee height, and max knee height is where your knee is at its max height, duh. And one quick thing on the height of your knee, I wouldn't go much higher than like waist height. So I'll flash a picture of some guys that get to a nice knee height, because once you go a little bit higher than that, once you get way up there, it doesn't really help you as much at that point. It's just kind of wasted movement. You got to get up there to get loaded, but no higher and no lower. Get somewhere in between, around waist height or a little bit higher. So yeah, tweak your leg kick that it goes a little higher than waist height, and make sure you're taking that leg kick with intent. You're loading up everything, your hips, core, leg. You should be ready to freaking explode towards home plate when you get to that max knee height. And yeah, that's all I got about that. Moving on. Next thing is leading with your front hip. I'm a lefty, so my front hip is my right hip. It's what you face, it's what's facing home plate as you're going towards home plate. So you're at your max knee height, top of your leg kick, and then instead of just like collapsing towards home plate, come here and then just like lead with that front, like engage it. This little movement like that, if you can see it. You should really dig into that back foot, have all the weight in, like on the inside of your back knee, the knee that's on the leg that's on the rubber. You should have that fully engaged, ready to explode towards the plate, and then lead with that hip and run down towards the mound. Just kind of glide down. And yeah, that's pretty much all there is to that, and that leads very nicely into my next tip, which is to drive off your back foot. I kind of already hinted to that a little bit. You have to drive as hard as you can off that back foot. You gotta explode towards the plate. You hear me? Explode. That's the biggest thing. That's the theme in this entire video. You gotta explode towards the plate. Pitching is an explosive movement. The only way to get to max velocity that I talked about is to explode. If you're looking at an MLB pitcher, the amount of power they generate from the minimum amount of movement they make in their delivery, it's just insane. So yeah, just push as hard as you can off that rubber and propel yourself as far as you can towards home plate. And one more thing to focus on when you're driving off that back foot is to try to keep your back foot flat on the ground as long as you can. This will create more tension and energy, which will make you throw harder, which is what we want. Don't change your motion to make this happen. Just put a little bit of focus on trying to keep it flat a little bit longer so you stay a little bit loaded so you get more velocity. And next up is stride length. This ties in nicely with the last two tips. So having a long stride is crucial for a few reasons. First of those is when you have a longer stride, when you get to the end of it, you're closer to home plate when you release the ball, which makes it harder for the pitcher. It gives the hitter less time to pick it up as it's coming towards him, which makes it look faster. Secondly, it generates more power, just like pretty much everything else I've said in this video. And in case you don't believe me, Sports Science did a video on Aroldis Chapman a while ago. They talked about all the things that he does to generate so much velocity, throwing like 105. One of those things was stride length, so I'll show you a little clip from that real quick.
First, his stride. The typical stride length for a pitcher is about 87% of his height, but Chapman's stride averages 120% of his 6'4" height, approaching 7.5 feet.
So next I'm gonna talk about hip to shoulder separation. You might have heard of it, it's pretty self-explanatory. It's the distance you get between your hips and your shoulders in your pitching delivery. There's this big study, you might have heard of it. It found that 80% of velocity comes from hip to shoulder separation. So that means if you want to throw gas, you should probably get some hip to shoulder separation. There are some drills to kind of help improve this, but at the end of the day, it's just gonna get improved by getting in the weight room and getting stronger and more flexible. But it can also be improved by just focusing on it in your motion and just trying to load those shoulders back, generate that torque, you know. I could show you another clip from that sports science video on this, but I know you guys would rather hear me talk, so I just stick to me. You guys believe me, right? All right, so next thing is arm layback. And if you want to be all fancy, it is also known as maximum external rotation. Maybe you've seen this before, but it's like when the pitcher's coming through his motion and his arm gets way cocked back like that. You're like, wow, how does he get it so far back? And you try to do it and you're like, ow, I can't do that. Well, being able to do that is a big part of pitching velocity. It's like a slingshot. You draw it back, 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 and then release and throw the ball. Goes 100 miles an hour, awesome. And in terms of how to improve this, it's kind of similar to my answer on how to improve hip to shoulder separation. There's not really a lot of drills to do. You can't just like stretch it out constantly and eventually you're gonna be able to go all the way back like MLB pitchers. It just comes from getting stronger, more flexible, and all that stuff. Last tip, real quick, it doesn't have to do with the legs like we've been talking a lot about. This actually has to do with your arm. Not even your throwing arm, it's your glove arm. A lot of guys forget about it, but it's really important if you want to generate that little extra bit of velocity. The faster your glove arm comes back towards you, the faster your throwing arm is going to come through. So my favorite way to think about this is elbowing the person behind you as hard as you can. So when you're here at this point, you come back, pull that glove towards you, elbow that person behind you, and then this arm will automatically come through much faster. So that's all I got for this video. Thanks for watching. Some of the info I got from this video is from a website, youthpitching.com. There will be a link in the description if I remember to put one down there, so check that out if you want to learn more. There's also lots of other good stuff down in the description, so check all that out too. If you have any questions about anything I talked about in this video or about baseball in general, I would love to answer those. You can ask down in the comments or email me at upswingbaseball@gmail.com. All right, now if you want to see another one of my videos, there's one down there that YouTube recommends for you. So click that one on your screen right now. But yeah, I'll see you later.